Hi, Molly. Thank you for joining me.
Oh yeah, nice to be here.
I'm really happy to have you, and I'm really interested to hear about what your week is like on a sitcom like Night Court. Would you be able to tell us your name and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Molly Grundman-Gerbosi, and I'm a costume designer in TV and film, and I work on Night Court.
Yeah. So, for you, what's a typical week starting with day one when you're handed the script? How do you prep for that episode?
Well, our entire department is it's not, I'll start over. Our entire department runs off of the script. So as soon as we get the script, we find out who's in the scene, what character is doing what, how many script days. So it's really important for us to have a script. We can't do our job without a script, basically.
Right.
So we will take that script. Hopefully you get it a little ahead of time, but so let's say like on a typical 5-day work week.
Yeah.
So on Monday, we'll get the script and we'll read it and we'll break it down. And that just means we're going through every scene and seeing who's in there, what they're doing, how many days that the script takes place over. So there could be over 3 different days.
Right.
So that adds changes for us as well. And then after we have that breakdown, then I do a little team meeting and I divide and conquer all the people in my department and we prep, which means you go out and get what you need to fit on the actors to make it make sense in the scene. So we could go out to the rental house on the WB lot. We
Okay.
could go out shopping. We could go out finding vintage thrift store. And then it doesn't exist. So then we make it. So,
Right.
so whatever we need, we have to get it done in a very short time. Sitcoms, multicam in general, are a very short turnaround. Um, you get the script and then you have to basically prep it all
Mhm.
in a half a day. And then you have the actors that are coming in for rehearsals. And sometimes you only get 15 minutes with them in between. So you
Yeah.
really have to have a really good idea what the script is about and what the character is about.
Okay.
So that's how we start our day. Usually starts 2 hours before any other crew member gets there.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up your team. I would love to hear how many people typically you get. I know it changes from project to project, but for example, just on Night Court, what's your team like?
Well, every costume department, there's two unions. So I'm in the Costume Designers Guild,
Okay.
and then the costumers are in a different guild. They're in the motion picture costumers. So I have a supervisor, what's in that local 705,
Yeah.
and and then I have a key costumer that is basically the supervisor is basically like the person that runs the logistics. Like they'll help me with the breakdown, they'll help me with the budget, they'll hire some of the staff. I work very close with the supervisor to make sure we're all on the same page. And luckily, I have people I've worked with for years.
Uh-huh.
So that's very because you don't have to start over. And then
Right.
the key customer helps is between me and the other customers. So you have a supervisor, you have a key customer, then you have set customers. So the set customers are the ones that take up the clothes after we have all the fittings and decide what the costume is. They take the costumes,
Mhm.
they set them in the rooms, they dress the actors, they keep the continuity on set. The continuity is basically we make sure that the actor's in the right change for the right scene
Yeah.
because they have other things to worry about. They don't always have to worry about costume continuity. That's our job.
Mhm.
And then we have our shopper. Sometimes you have an assistant designer also. And the shopper is basically it's a costume shopper slash buyer,
Okay.
but sometimes you don't all shop. You just might
Mhm.
be swatching fabric. It's not just glamorous in the shopping malls. And
Yeah.
then we have a costume PA a lot to help us. There's a lot of paperwork now that really wasn't how it was when we started.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people also have a costume coordinator just to help with all the account. I mean, the accounting is crazy. Every receipt is accounted for, every return. It's quite madness. So we have a bunch of people to help us basically. And a tailor, obviously, to make everything perfect.
Okay. And what are the type of skills that someone would need to join your department? What do you look for?
First, I look for a person that is able to work well with people. That is the most
Yeah.
important I look for, because you can always learn, but if you can't work well with people, or if you're always like having a negative attitude or rolling your eyes, or
Yeah.
that attitude, I don't last long with those type of people. So if you can work well with the other departments, because the biggest part of my job is collaboration. I collaborate with the director. I collaborate with the actors. Then I go and talk to the production designer, the set designer, making sure my costume doesn't bleed into the background unless it's called for in the script, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the makeup and hair, like I have to make sure in night court we have a lot of gags, and like, there's bird attacks. Like, are we using the same feathers in the hairs and on the clothes? We have to just collaborate. So if you don't work well with people, I mean, we work a lot with you in graphics
Yeah.
as well. Like, if you don't work well with people, then you're not going to be successful in this business.
Yeah, I've always seen there's always a crowd of people in your department room. I've seen you guys all over the place. I mean, I've experienced it with you where they've written a gag of a costume that, like you said, doesn't exist. So you and
Yeah.
I have to get together, we fabricate it, we find out when it shoots and get it cleared. So there's all these little steps. And if there's a little hiccup or you, like you said, you don't like working with others, that's not going to work out.
No, no. I mean, a lot of departments overlap. A lot of time there's is it a prop or is it a costume? And
Right.
we overlap. And we do love working together. We love, if you can solve problems, you'll do very well in this business. Now, to get in the unions, you can't be colorblind. There's like a test for that. It's a real bummer when you find that out when you want to do this. But so, you have to know about colors, and
Yeah.
it really helps. I have a background in tailoring, and I know how to sew, and I know fabrics. Like, that is very helpful.
Yeah.
Today, you better be good at technology. You really have to be up to date. Everything changes so fast.
Right.
Just before the pandemic, we weren't doing these things on Zoom,
Yeah.
like everything was in person, and then we had to figure out how to get everything on Zoom digitally. Like, now it's easy, but like, just keep learning and just don't get stuck in one area, I think, is the best advice.
How are you able to design a look for a specific character? Just for example, with Abby Stone for Night Court, how did you develop the look for her? Like, who did you collaborate with, if you did?
Yeah, well, when I first met, I knew Melissa socially through a mutual friend who's
Uh-huh.
an actress on the show as well. But so we talked about how we could still have, you know, um, a little bit of that relaxed vibe, like Harry Stone, her
Okay,
dad,
yeah,
her dad. We talked about that a lot. And actually in the pilot, a lot of people, I'm telling, are collaborating. So we thought, oh, let's do bright colors. Let's do her like, a little more prim and proper. And it wasn't as relatable. So we had to pivot, like
yeah,
sometimes you pivot and you make it make sense. And so now we want her to be more relatable, like still feminine, still strong woman, but also someone that can hang with the guys,
yeah,
and is fun, and is very surprising, her character, all the ups and downs she goes through. So we met, and then we we laugh about Abby Stone and her signature blazers. Like,
yeah,
we have blazers in all different colors, and it's funny because people write and we're like, oh, I want that blazer, but you don't realize you fit it to the person, and our actress is very petite. So we will alter that blazer. We will remove the buttons, we'll replace the buttons. Sometimes we replace the lining. Sometimes we change the sleeve. Like we do all these different things to make it make sense for her character.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when they ask me, I'm like, well, you can't really find that, but you can do these 5 things to make it look like that. So we have a bunch of blazers for her. We like to have her wear tennis shoes a lot, like
Yeah.
more relaxed vibe. And, then you think about things. If you're petite, you might need some height. So she wears a lot of like platform loafers, a business shoe that she's still able to like move. And it's very physical, the multicam world, physical
Yeah.
comedy. And she'll be jumping up here and there. So we just all have to make it make sense. A lot of shows you can put an actress in dresses and skirts, but multicam comedy, you got to just you never know where they're jumping.
Right.
And we're shooting this in a live audience, so you just have to make sure no one's going to flash anybody too. So we have a lot of things to think about for every scene. And so ideally, like her signature look is a blazer and some jeans and tennis shoes. And now she's really bringing the ties, because they're not just for men. They're not
Yeah.
just for men, and we've decided the tie looks great under a robe. So she's in that robe a lot. And that robe is like custom made too.
Yeah.
It seems simple, but there's a lot of little details to go into it to make it look like we're not trying.
No, I mean I've seen it firsthand, so I really have appreciation for your department, especially with stuff like gags or specific costumes that they write into the show, and you guys only have a specific amount of time to make that happen. And I don't think I've seen or heard you guys say no to anything. You guys always deliver. What's one of the most challenging costumes that you guys had to put together overall in this season?
Um, I guess it's challenging for different ways. Sometimes the clearances can be very challenging.
Right.
Anytime we're doing any superhero, Marvel, Star Wars, Star Trek, you
Yeah.
know, type of thing, that's very challenging, because you have to come up with something that reads like it belongs there, but it can't be a knockoff, for clearance wise. And so it makes you get creative, that's for sure. But sometimes that could be challenging. And the other most challenging thing about the show is really time. So,
Right.
so that's sometimes I'll have, all of my customers in the room, and we would either get a graphic from you, and we're literally ironing it on our floor,
Mhm.
or
I've
using
seen
the
that.
Cricut to do things as we're shooting. When the script, they change the line and the t-shirt has to look different.
Yeah.
So there's very things like that where you just can't be stuck on one thing. You just have to pivot, adapt, adapt, adapt. And so they'll be in there, or I'll have my customer out back, spray painting scales through a stencil on something. It's all a bit of madness. But yeah, I'm trying to think of one specific costume. I mean, there was a costume we had a Fashion Week episode,
Oh, Fashion Week.
and that was challenging as well. So the costume that Abby Stone, Melissa Rauch wears,
Yeah.
is designed by a very avant-garde fashion designer, and it had all these things. It had too many elements, basically, in the design of this dress, but we also had to make it funny.
Yeah.
So we had to make sure when she sat, the hoop skirt would go up this way and not that way. And then we had to make sure when she gets attacked that the feathers go this way, then that way. And then we had to make, like, her tiara had to be okay. And then her hair, like, everything involved in that was pretty tricky. And then that was the day we had the peacock. And
Yeah.
so we finally get her dressed up, looking fabulous for the part, and the peacock poos on her dress. So I don't even know if you knew that,
I didn't
but
know that.
Yes. So then we had to clean that up literally 2 minutes before she had to go on for this reveal. Like you just never know what's going to happen. But
Right.
yes.
And I mean, that just got me thinking that I always also have to be like on my game because if you guys get a note about making a t-shirt design and I'm not available, like that's not going to work either. Like I also have to be there to support you guys and make sure that we all deliver at the same time. So yeah, that I didn't know anything
Teamwork.
about the
Yeah.
pre-talk. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a very interesting episode. Tons of guest stars. And for our show, so on Monday we get the script. We do fittings for about 8 hours.
Yeah.
I put all the I put all the looks, my favorite ones, the ones that work best for the actors in the script, on Keynote, and then I send it off for approvals.
Uh-huh.
So the executive producers know what's up. The director's on there. Everybody is aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I send them, the scripts change more for my costume looks, or sometimes they just say, "Oh, that my idea is not working in the script. I'm going to pivot to something else." So then on Tuesday, I have feedback. So then I do a bunch of other fittings, tweaking things here and there.
Yeah.
And then we send it to alterations.
Okay.
And then in the meantime, then I have to do more day player fittings. And then we have a big background crew on this. So the background extras in the scene, um, we have to pull racks and racks of clothes for them as well. Because some are uniform, some are specialty, some are kooky. You just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And so we're prepping that on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, there's a rack check. And then if any actor wants to come back and try on their clothes, make sure I do check fits on
Yeah.
Wednesday. And then, to the last minute, I'm picking out jewelry and, you know, certain socks that they probably will never see, but it's good for their character, things like that. And on Thursday, we shoot.
Right.
And, and then we shoot all day, and then my team, preps the costume head to toe, puts it in their room, helps them get dressed, their jewelry, go to set, takes care of the continuity, shoot all day, give them a robe for lunch so they don't spill in their outfit, and then at the end of the night, we take all the clothes out of their rooms again, we send
Yeah.
it to the cleaner, we prep it, we set up, we do everything again the next day. And so the great thing about sitcoms is you shoot 2 days versus another show, either a non multi-camera show, a
Right.
single cam you shoot every day, or an hour episodic you shoot every day. Film, obviously, you shoot every day.
Yeah.
So in a way, I know I laugh. Sometimes it's much easier because you only have to be prepared for that look. You
Uh-huh.
might shoot only two people all day on another series,
Right.
but and then the next day you might shoot three or four. It's different, but here you have to be ready for all those changes all on one day. And so it's a lot. Just considering we have five leads and basically a most wonderful special guest star. So let's say
Yeah.
six
Six.
over maybe three script days, sometimes five. And so that's 18 changes right there, let alone the 5 to 12. I think we've had like 14 day players at one time changes. So, you're getting up there to 45, 50 changes. And if it's a big day, and if it's a fashion episode, it's specialty for all the background, the pre-fits. So you have to be really quick and make decisions, and
Mhm.
kind of, for this, you have to get comedy. You have to know what's funny. You have to know what's going to read.
Yeah.
So sometimes that just takes time. Been doing this for a while, but
Yeah.
but
And
it's quick. Sitcoms they're quick. They're quick compared to the other type of shows. Yeah.
yeah, and it's a lot of trust in your work as well. I mean, we've done a lot of outside of the Fashion Week. We did Comic-Con.
Yeah.
We've done you name it. I feel like you guys get the most screen time. Your work gets the most screen time, especially with all the stuff you guys do. You did talk about film and TV. How did you get into the costume department or being a costumes designer?
Well, I mean, just right up, I always wanted to work in, TV, movies, come to Hollywood, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so after college, I literally moved down here and stayed up on my friend's couch for 3 weeks until I found a room to rent and at this lady's house. And she had a friend of a friend. Her daughter was a customer. So really, this business is all who you know. When you get started, it really
Yeah.
is referrals. And she said, "Oh, if you want to go see what's going on there, they're looking for an intern." And I said, "Oh, sign me up."
Yeah.
Okay. Unpaid intern. And so I did that for a while and I learned so much on that job that then those people could refer me to other jobs. And then I got a paying costume PA job.
Oh,
And then I got hired for a movie and I got in the union. And then I got in the customers union. And then I got hired. I met the writer on that movie and he was doing like a little indie himself and I designed that. And I got into the Designers Guild union from that. And I've literally done everything, every position in the costume department, which is, intern, costume PA, set costumer, key costumer, costume supervisor, assistant designer. I used to make things, tailor, and then all the way up to designer. So I feel like I have a very good understanding of what my department needs to do to get the job done.
yeah.
And you have to trust your crew because you can't do it yourself. You're only as good as your crew. I know they always say that, but oh, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And if someone can't find something, like if I'm looking for pink shoelaces, and I always tell someone, oh, if you can't find pink shoelaces, give me another version. They might bring me back yellow or purple. They might bring me back white with some pink dye.
Yeah.
You just have to be creative and fast and be self-starters. So that's how I started. Basically, learn by doing is how I started.
And you said it. It goes right back to what you said earlier about working with other people. I mean, you have to be able to not only network, but also be really good at your job and be likable and be um, at your toppest like level of what you can do. And with that being said, uh, if you were to do it all over again, what would you do differently? Or if you have any advice for somebody that wants to be in the costume.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a different beast now. I've been doing
Yeah.
this 25 years. So I would say, like I said, be great with technology. It's so helpful. And especially if you're starting, a lot of people that have been doing this a while might not be as good as technology. So that could be your in.
Yeah.
Like if you are great at something, then make it known. Make it known. Don't have an ego, but make it known. And then also be patient because your time will come.
Mhm.
But if you're eager and have a bad, you can be eager and ready. But if you have a bad attitude and you think it's not happening fast enough, then no one wants that type of energy around.
Yeah.
Like I am so happy I've had my interns, PAs get in the union. I've referred them to design jobs. Like I'm fine with that. Like it all happens when it's supposed to happen for you, is what I believe. And the other thing is take every job you can get. I mean, I'm not saying everybody do free work, but if you don't know what you're doing, just maybe go observe on the set. Like that's so important. If you go to the set and you see a call sheet, some people might be saying, "What's a call sheet?" Find out what a call sheet is. Find out how to read it. Find out all these information. Ask questions. The thing I would say, just don't come to this set and wait for someone to tell you what to do.
Right.
Ask questions. Oh, I see you're doing that. Why are you doing that? That is a self-starter that everybody wants in their department. And every free job that I've done for a friend, like a student, or a friend or someone starting out has gotten me a paid job later
Yeah.
because that's the thing. If you're in this industry long enough, there might be a PA on set, production assistant on set, that just wrote this really great movie. And if it's a great project, then you should help that person out. Oh, and then I don't know, 5 years later, they're running their own show.
Yeah.
So like you never know. It could happen overnight. So don't have an attitude,
Mhm.
collaborate, and just make sure that if your characters are character driven, the costumes that you do are character driven, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you definitely don't want to compare your journey to other people's journeys. You don't want to lose your patience, like you said, because I mean, a lot of us had to take that initiative of I didn't even think about the call sheet detail. Like I took it for granted. And yeah, you're right. It's little things like that that you don't want to wait for someone to start telling you or teaching you. You should have that initiative, and that's well, not only your department, but like all the other departments look for that as well.
Yeah, everybody looks for someone who cares about their job.
Yeah.
And and also we're there so many hours. If I had to start over, I would make sure that I really liked what I was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have to love what you're doing. I still really like what I do. I'm a people person. I really love comedies. I've worked with dramas and period pieces and all that kind of thing, but I like laughing a lot, and
Yeah.
I think that that's very important. Find what you want to do, and sometimes your dream job, when you get there, might not be what you thought your dream job was going to be. So you can adapt. It's never too late to like figure it out. But yeah, people want to be around nice, happy people that are creative. That's what our business is about.
Yeah, and I mean for me, I get a lot more into my job when I get to work with you. I get to work with props or set deck. So yeah, it just all comes together, and it's all true what you said about being able to make like this show happen together.
Yeah, yeah. And I have a great crew, and we have fun, and yeah. So I'm happy on this. And then when the show ends, we'll go on to something else. You
Right.
know, don't get in this business for stability. You know,
Very true.
I would say that. But the good news is if you're on a terrible job, you know it's going to end. You might just have like 3 more months and you're like, it's okay, it's going to end. If you're on the greatest job ever, the sad part is it's going to end, you
Yeah.
know? But, just try to find the positive in whatever you're doing and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I usually have in my head is that I don't have to go to work. Like I get to go to work. I get to go be on a sitcom like this. And so thank you so much for this conversation, Molly. I appreciate all this insight and this detail and a little glimpse of your world.
Oh, sure, sure. It was so nice talking about it. I hope it helps somebody.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed our chat.
Okay,
Bye, Molly.
great. Bye bye.